How do you live the happiest possible human life? That's the question Aristotle tries to answer in Nicomachean Ethics, and that's what I want to explore in this video. Interestingly and ironically, in our modern day and age, this question feels almost unanswerable. Life often feels like hopeless, aimless. We spend our grey weekdays in spinning in a corporate hamster wheel, despite all the technology, all the progress, and the standards of living never seen before. Something feels off, but what is it? We don't even ask this question anymore. We are just used to it. And what's funny about that this problem was answered 2300 years ago, but somehow it got lost. Imagine this. Tomorrow, World War III breaks out, a nuclear catastrophe wipes out civilization. Humanity survives, but barely. Thousands of years later, in a primitive world, people tell legends about a golden age of science. They speak with almost religious reverence about scientific terms like quantum. But the real meaning of those words is gone. They use them out of tradition, out of longing, stripped out of their original context. Hollow concepts from a world that they no longer understand. This tragedy isn't just fiction. It already happened, not to science but to morality. This is the powerful image painted by Alasdair MacIntyre, if I pronounce his name correctly, in his book After Virtue. What we have lost, he argues, is the Aristotelian tradition of virtue ethics. Okay, but what does this have to do with happiness? That's a fair question, but the moment we ask it, we prove MacIntyre's point. Our moral concepts have become fragmented. Because for Aristotle, virtue ethics is not about rule following. Its ultimate goal is the happiest possible human life. That's very different from the rigid deontological ethics we are familiar with. Deontological ethics is rule-based, if you don't know the term. It's about laws, obligations, things you must do or not do. The highest aim is obedience to those rules. No, I'm not saying that everyone follows the ontology. Someone rebel against it, someone defend it. Some people hold conservative values, some people progressive ones, and some reject ethics altogether. But when we hear the word ethics, most of us thinks of rules, restrictions, moral commands. That's not what Aristotle meant. For him, ethics is about living the happiest possible human life. That's Aristotelian virtue ethics. The focus isn't rule-keeping, it's flourishing. For us today, this concept feels very unusual. And that's why MacIntyre says that we have lost something. If we want to understand Aristotle's secret to happiness, we need to uncover some of these lost moral concepts, like good, virtue, and happiness. They are familiar words, but their original meaning is very different from how we use it today. These concepts are alien to us. Let's start with the good. Aristotle builds his ethics on his metaphysics. But for now, we only need to understand one idea. The good is that at which all things aim. So everything aims for the good. Basically, it's the ultimate end goal. He also says every science, every art, every action has some goal, some good. Medicine aims at health. Military strategy aims at victory. Shipbuilding aims at a ship. But these goods aren't equal. Some are subordinate to others. We build ships not just to have ships, but to use them for trade, for strengthening the police. Not the police. Police. Sorry for my pronunciation. Police, yes. For a higher purpose, basically. There are relative goods, and there is the highest good, or highest goods. The highest good is desired for its own sake, not as a means to something else. For humans, the highest good is happiness. And just as individuals have highest goods, so does the polis. It's flourishing. Aristotle writes, the good is spoken of in as many ways as being is. In other words, goodness isn't one single universal thing applied to the same way everywhere. For humans, the highest good, happiness, is what he calls eudaimonia. It's not just pleasure, it's a deep sense that life is going well. So well that it could hardly go any better. And the ideal state we strive toward. Interestingly, the ancient Greeks believed that only a dead person could be called truly happy. Herodotus writes about this. It's practical, really. As long as you are alive, your fate can change. Tomorrow might bring disaster. Only when life is complete can we judge it as flourishing. So, now we have a sense what eudaimonia is. But how do we reach it? For that, we need another key concept, virtue. Aristotle puts it simply. Happiness is an activity of the soul in accordance with virtue. So somehow happiness is tied to action, and it seems that action needs to be virtuous. But virtue alone is not enough. It's necessary, but not sufficient. You can live virtuously and still suffer terrible misfortune. So what is it? In Book 2, Chapter 6 of Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle writes this. So here we need to explain that virtues, whatever they are virtues of, always put the thing itself into a good state, and also make it good at performing its task. Example, the virtues of an A makes the A a good A, and make it perform its task well, which is to say, the A's virtue makes a C well. Likewise, a horse's virtue makes it a good horse, and specifically good at running, carrying its ride, facing the enemy. So if that's how it is for all cases, then human virtues, similarly, are presumably dispositions that make someone a human being, a good person, and good at performing the task of a human being. Virtue is not about religious commandments. It's not about moralizing, it's functional. Virtue makes a human being good at being human. Think of a horse. A good horse fulfills its function well. It runs fast, carries weight, performs as it should. Its virtue is what allows it to do that. Likewise, human virtue is that allows us to fulfill our human function well. So basically, this means that virtue is functional. It's the function that makes the action good. Now we need to take a look at how we use this function, what needs to be done to fulfill virtue. Aristotle dislikes extremes. He proposes the doctrine of the mean. Virtue lies between two vices. Courage lies between cowardice and recklessness. Proper respect lies between contempt and blind worship. Work ethic lies between laziness and workaholism. In every situation, we must rationally find the appropriate middle. This is the way of the virtue. Aristotle goes and provides a bunch of more examples in the Nicomachean Ethics. But to consistently achieve this middle way, he says, it requires practical wisdom, phronesis. And that wisdom isn't innate, it's not learned from a textbook. It's cultivated through years, decades of lived practice. That lived practice is virtue in action. Again, Aristotle famously writes, the human good is activity of the soul in accordance with virtue. Remember, the highest human good is eudaimonia. So living virtuously is necessary for being happy. Without it, we simply won't choose well in the situations life throws at us. Poor choices lead to chaos, and chaos undermines flourishing. But virtue alone doesn't guarantee happiness. Fortune plays a role also. External circumstances matter, for Aristotle is grounded, realistic. If tragedy strikes you or your loved ones, through no fault of your own, you won't be perfectly happy. That's life. Now we come to purpose. We know our life's ultimate goal is eudaimonia. We know we must act virtuously. But what should we actually do with our lives? Aristotle describes two paths. The first is politics, the science of happiness. Yes, you heard it right. Politics is the science of happiness. For Aristotle, politics aims at flourishing of the polis, the common good. The Greeks believed that an individual's well-being is inseparable from the community's. The second, even more nobler path is philosophy, the pursuit of knowledge for its own sake, lifelong contemplation and learning. Here Aristotle might have been a bit biased, but he believed that the joy found in understanding the truth leads to the highest form of happiness. So what can we take from this today? Should we all become politicians and philosophers? Probably not. Modern politics is rarely about collective flourishing, and not everyone is called to academic contemplation. But the core message still stands. A good life is lived by pursuing a meaningful vocation with virtue and reason, especially the ones that serve something greater than yourself. Not selfish gain, not mere profit, but contributing real value to others, to the community, to humanity. And the second path still resonates too. Lifelong learning, finding joy in understanding for its own sake. Whether we fully agree with Aristotle or not, the road to happiness seems to point beyond ourselves, towards a higher purpose, towards virtuous struggle in service of something greater. Each of us must choose that path, but Aristotle has at least given us a map.